variability. And as I ask that, we see opening variability on the very first move. Magnus, as the Russian expression goes, changing the record player, just changing the track, changing the tune, and we now have a completely fresh opening. The Queen's Indian defense is Hikaru's response to this new Magnus Carlsen, the first time in his life that he's ever played 1d4, man.
Yeah, D4. Ooh.
What a move.
I actually think that the Queen's Indian is a rather interesting response by Nakamura. I'm more shocked by that because, let's be honest, Dania, at the highest levels, this doesn't have as strong of a reputation as some of the other more solid opening choices that Black has against D4.
Nope, and they're taking a trip right down to the 1970s and 80s. This particular variation, and I'm referring to 5A3, is called the Petrosian variation. You will never guess who it's named after. I'll leave chat to do the guessing, but this featured very prominently in the Kasparov-Korchnoi candidates match of, I think, 1983 or something, and then it kind of fell off the map. I think the current evaluation is actually close to equality, but I've always felt that White's control over the center and the ability in the long run for White to develop an attack on the king side, you could think about a move like e5 later on, and maybe even a Greek gift sacrifice, that makes Black's position a little bit harder to handle.
Yeah, there's an interesting dynamic that often develops in this opening, which is like when the knight goes and commits itself to the d7 square, the move e5 becomes much more likely. It stops knight f6, knight c5, knight e5, that d4 pawn holds it back, and the knight on f8 it doesn't do that much. What you'd love to do after e5 is have a knight on d5, but the knight on d7 has a bit of a hard time getting there, whereas knight c6, not as
come
easy.
on. Didn't you get the memo that the knight can now move in an L shape +2, knight b8 to d5? You don't realize that's a legal move.
Now, is it?
What are you doing commentating the finals of the SC? The man doesn't even know the rules of chess.
Unprepared, obviously.
Or shall I say, a man doesn't even know the rules of chess. That was not even close to your king takes c6 joke, which was the best moment of the broadcast so far. We see rook d1 by Magnus Carlsen, accumulating pieces in the center. First priority for White Amon is to make sure that
Yeah, G5 is, I mean, he's just probing at this point. A queen trade, we should point out, absolutely favors Hikaru. So we will definitely see Magnus keeping the queen on the board. That's the thing that's tying black down to the defense of the C5 pawn, queen A3, right? You'd have to watch both pawns, maybe with queen E7.
I'm having a hard time understanding how Magnus makes any progress here. And again, like the previous game, right? Like the opposite color bishop endgame, black is a monopoly over the dark squares. That queen on d6 is entirely unassailable. It's impervious to attack. And if that queen remains on d6, I want to see how Magnus tries to unshuffle Hikaru's blockade here. And we're getting our answer, queen a3, queen c3, but how are you going to make that final bit of progress?
Yeah, it looks very difficult to do, and I will say as Magnus's time gets lower, his position will become more and more frantic to play because there's not a clear answer here. It's really easy to shuffle a knight on the dark square, but it's... I don't know.
Maybe time for the offer, yeah. Make sure
I
you
think
don't
so.
accidentally lose game. Queen e4 and Hikaru adding a little bit of heat to the center, and suddenly the time situation has evened up, and bishop takes c6, I think. Magnus might be regretting that choice just about now. Queen b1 check and queen back to e4 would be one way to repeat the position thrice. Magnus might just start going bishop c6, bishop e5, honestly. Yeah.
I think this is the moment where if
d6.
Magnus, if he goes just a little bit too far, Hikaru's going to switch and play for a win, but he hasn't done that yet.
There was a brief instance where Magnus could have pushed his pawn there to d6 and d7, and that was missed. That was missed because both players with 3 seconds on their clock. Who's playing for a win? It might be Hikaru.
I wonder, queen a6 to maybe intend d6. I think he's what he's trying to go for.
Oh! That knight was pinned d6 transformation here, but it doesn't really change the dynamic of the position. Magnus, queen takes a7, Hikaru's blundered the pawn.
That's a mistake. That is a big mistake. Now there are real winning chances.
But still drawing chances for Nakamura, who keeps his piece tandem active. But look at that c-pawn, on it goes to c6, and Hikaru now in big trouble. He's got to keep the c7 square under lock and key.
Yep, but so difficult to do. Now bishop d5, you start to panic about the knight. Is the
bishop
queen
e6,
trade good?
and Hikaru loses. He loses the pawn endgame, the pawn promotes, and Magnus